It's been a long day, so I'm about to talk about some stuff that's gonna make you feel uncomfortable if you're a parent while playing some Sweet Crossing Snake IO. Hi, welcome back to my channel. I'm the one they call Peachy Pie, and you are most welcome to join me here. Okie dokie, so we're gonna talk about some uncomfortable truths for parents, and let's get started. The first thing on my list is that your kids will struggle with mental health issues. I mean, come on, if you don't understand that or don't think about this, your child is not an extension of you. Your child is an individual, and they will have issues that are out of your control, whether that be biological issues, in other words, issues with their mind or body that are just natural. Some people are born with ADHD, and that's out of your control. You can't force the person or force your child to pay attention or to struggle along because you want them to be an individual that you consider normal, because this is their normal. This is how they operate and this is how they do things. Your best option is to just support your kids throughout all their struggles and to just be a helping hand, especially if they need medication or if they need the support of a professional, right? Your kids may also struggle with other types of mental health issues like depression and anxiety. Children can have depression and anxiety. I mean, where do you think you got it from? Do you think it just popped up overnight when you turned 18? That's not how it works. Children can suffer from depression and anxiety, and I don't think we talk about this enough. I don't think we think about this enough, and I think that when it comes to Christian households, it's much easier to just ignore it and say, okay, Jesus will save you. But that doesn't work when it comes to mental health issues, okay? Nextly, your kids are gonna outlive you. This is like 99% of the time. Okay, that's not an accurate depiction, but your kids will outlive you majority of the time. So you need to plan for that. You need to be comfortable with the fact that your kids are gonna outlive you, and you need to understand that it is best if you prepare them for life without you, especially from a young age. You help them to become independent so that you don't have to worry, oh my word, what is going to happen to my codependent kid when I'm gone? Because they don't have the tools to sustain themselves or sustain their own lives. And that's such a dangerous position to be in, because it leaves your kid very susceptible to being in abusive relationships, which I've spoken about on this channel before. Okie dokie. Next, your kids need to be independent. It still ties in with the codependent issues and things. Also, try to remember that your kid is not an extension of you. So they shouldn't be required to be a mini-me. That should never be the case. Your kid should be allowed to express themselves. They should be allowed to have boundaries and have likes and dislikes. And you should encourage them to be a whole ass person, not just who you want them to be. That's how they learn and they grow and develop into well-rounded individuals. And that's what you want. You want a well-rounded individual that has a good sense of justice and fairness, which really only comes from them being treated with justice and fairness. They're not going to learn they're not going to learn how to become just or fair by you being unfair with them. That's not how that works. Okay, number 4. Your kids are going to have sex. I'm sorry to tell you this. It might be an uncomfortable thought or feeling, but yeah, your kids are probably going to have sex someday. Maybe you want them to have sex inside of marriage, but you have no control over that. So your best option is to prepare them for it by explaining what happens, help them to make the choice in the right moment, not be led by their emotions or feelings, and also to give them the resources necessary to make sure that they don't have unwanted pregnancies or have to deal with partners that are not capable or inclined to wanting to raise a child with them, because that happens to youngsters. They are impressionable. And also, if you are a very, very awful parent that can potentially cause your child some trauma, that might be the reason why they get into a physical relationship before they are necessarily ready, because that happens all the time. Okay, next, your kids will have gender and sexuality issues. This is part of life. This is part of growing up. It does not mean that there is something wrong with your child, that they are strange or weird or from the devil. It just means that they are human. That's what it means. because they are entitled to have thoughts and feelings that are out of your control. Heck, half the time you can't even control your thoughts or feelings. And let's be honest, that's true. I mean, there have been times where people will tell me they've had strange dreams about their friends, neighbors, parents, siblings, all that stuff like that. And that's just it's not an intentional thing. The mind creates weird things, and how we respond to them, how we react to them, and how we treat ourselves afterwards often determines whether or not we are healthy mentally or emotionally. So your kids are going to go through it. Just be supportive, be there for them, help them not to make permanent choices before they're ready for any sort of permanency, and help them to identify when it's good to wait for certain decisions and when it's good to make certain decisions, I often read about transgender individuals, and not to say that they all have regrets, but there are some younger individuals who have regrets and then they transition back to their original intended gender because they felt after the time that they were too young to make the decision. And while their parents are trying to be supportive, I know this can be a very difficult, contentious issue, but I also know that it is good of a parent to protect their child by putting them in therapy when they need it, and also making a space for them to express themselves without making permanent changes to their physiology, right? Number 6, your kids should have the right to choose their own religions and beliefs. That I believe 110% is true. I believe that if God is so good to me, and if I believe that God is real, you shouldn't have a problem using me as an example to show how it really is to others. If I believe that God is there to bless me and encourage me and love me, then I believe that people will see that in my life. They will see that I'm loved. They will see that I am supported, and they will see that I'm uplifted. I don't think God needs the kind of introduction in which I have to threaten someone to following him, because I don't think he wants that in the first place. If God could control us if he wanted to, but the fact that he doesn't really tells me that he wants us to make that choice on our own. So that's why I believe your kid deserves to make that choice on their own. If God is so good to them, they will follow him because they want to, not because you forced them. And more often than not, people who are forced to be a part of a certain religion while growing up often decide to just abandon that religion when they grow up, because it's too forced, it's too coercive. There's no actual relationship behind it. It's essentially just tradition and coercion. So yeah. Anyway, next one, your kids are not responsible for their younger siblings, and I don't think there's much I can say about this. Your kids are not responsible for the younger siblings. At which point is it okay for a young child to become a parent to children that they did not give birth to? It's weird. Why do we do this to people? Why do we make children responsible for children? Are you not parent or adult enough to handle all your kids? And why do you have so many kids? I know that parents need help. I'm a mom as well. I do need help with my kid, but I don't make him take care of anything that should be my responsibility. And if I had other children, they would be my responsibility, not my kids' responsibility. So I think it's important to remember that your child is not there to be a maid or a helper for you. If they want to help, compensate them fairly. For example, if you'd pay like $10 to a babysitter for looking after your kids for an hour, pay your kid the $10. Your kid is not there to save you money. Your kid is there to be a kid. So let them be a kid. They're not responsible for other people. And I believe I wrote a poem about it. I think it was called Sister. And it is available on Wattpad. And I will link it in the description. But yeah, those are just my thoughts on some uncomfortable truths for parents. Let me know what you think in the description. Aha, I kicked your butt. Yes. And yeah, this whole setup is new to me, so I'm trying really hard to pay attention. But yeah, so thanks so much for joining me, and stay tuned for your scripture of the day.
stated, all the following scripture quotations are taken from the Holy Bible, New Living Translation, with copyright by Tyndale House Foundation, used by permission of Tyndale House Publishers, all rights reserved.
The scripture of the day comes from Isaiah 51 verse 4, which says, "Listen to me, my people. Hear me, Israel. For my law will be proclaimed, and my justice will become a light to the nations." Alright, well, that's it from me. Thank you so much for being here, and I hope that you have a fantastic day further because you absolutely deserve it. Cheers.
그대 잠깐 눈을 붙일 때 나는 마음에 물을 붙여요. 비밀의 나만의 초콜릿. 그대 차가운 몸